DreAllDay.com.
The confidence loop. Any audience I've ever spoken to, the number one internal trait that people want to have more of and want to master, if they could choose and wave a magic wand, the answer is always the same: more confidence, more self-esteem, a healthier self-image. Everybody says this. This is always, always, always the answer. It always has been, from basketball players to entrepreneurs to entrepreneurs to employed professionals to grandmothers, retirees, and everybody in between, is more confidence. Today, then, I'm going to tell you the process. Yes, I'm going to tell you the process, the loop of confidence, and how each piece does its job and how it all works for you, assuming, again, this is all assuming that you put these things into motion. I'm going to tell you what they are, how they are, why they work, how they create confidence, and how it becomes a self-fulfilling cycle as long as you use it. Let's get to it. Point number one. Today's topic, once again, is the confidence loop. Number one, let's start with the discipline. Showing up every day, doing the work, whatever the work is, that puts you in a position to do the performance that is soon to follow. This is not a new concept. If you've been around here before, I talk about discipline all the time. I tell you that is the foundation of professionalism. It's the number one thing you'll see in any professional operation, or the operation of any professional that is working consistently and working predictably, is that they are a disciplined person, and or they have a disciplined system that they follow that leads to disciplined actions and disciplined outcomes. The reason why discipline matters in the confidence loop is that discipline is about showing up and doing the work, as I said, and confidence is about your belief in your ability to do a thing. How do you develop belief in your ability to do something? Usually you get a lot of it the more of it you do. The more you do a thing, the more confident you will be that you can indeed do the thing. So you prepare ahead of time by doing the thing a bunch. So then when you're called on to do the thing, you know you can do it because you've been doing it. So discipline is the parent trait of preparation. All professionals are always prepared ahead of time for any situation before it occurs. The preparatory work that they do is a byproduct of their discipline. When you are disciplined, you're going to do prep work to get yourself ready for the performance, because you know the performance is coming up. So let me get prepared ahead of time. This is also known as doing your homework. We talked about this in episode 1925. Because no professional can be without discipline, because the only way you can be a professional is you got to be getting paid consistently to do something. The only way anyone will pay you consistently to do anything is if you are actually good at delivering. And the only way you can get good at delivering a thing is you have to do the preparatory work, i.e. the homework, up front, aka the homework up front before it's time to actually perform, so that when you're called on to perform and you're being paid to perform, you can actually do a good job. No one can do a good job consistently at the professional level without preparing ahead of time. Nobody is that talented. So this is where you can insert the little joke of Allen Iverson saying, are we talking about practice? Yes, Allen Iverson and Allen Iverson fans, we're talking about practice. You have to do something ahead of time before the performance so that you are actually good during the performance. Now, some of you may say, extending the joke here of Allen Iverson, that Allen Iverson famously was not a big fan of practicing. I would also probably say, just from context clues and what I know about professional basketball players, Allen Iverson probably wasn't even that big on the whole concept of working on his game and practicing that much, because Allen Iverson was just that damn talented that he could go out there and be a great basketball player at the highest level of basketball without even practicing that hard or too much preparatory quote unquote homework. And let's assume that that's true. Even if it is, Allen Iverson is an exception. He is not the rule. How many other Allen Iversons do you know of? Players who are so talented they can just walk on the court and they'll just dominate and they don't do too much prep work or homework. Besides Allen Iverson, how many others can you name? Allen Iverson's peak was about 25 years ago. How many other Allen Iversons have you seen in the last quarter of a century since then? The answer is zero. We haven't seen any. All right, that's why he's an exception. He's not the rule. So even if you believe Allen Iverson, that he didn't need to practice and he was still really good, great. All right, your name ain't Allen Iverson, and Allen Iverson's retired and old now. And you need to practice. You need to prepare. You need to do what most professionals do, 99% of them, which is practice. Okay? No professional is without the discipline of practicing, because it'd be impossible for them to become or remain a professional without doing their homework. You can't be a professional consistently if you aren't doing your homework consistently. All professionals are prepared before they are called on. Emergency medics have practice. They practice giving CPR. Midwives practice delivering babies. Athletes have practice before the games, practicing catching footballs and shooting free throws. Lawyers practice arguing cases. Salespeople practice handling objections and having sales conversations. Doing preparatory work makes you feel more confident when the real event happens because you have already been exposed, at least on some level, to how the real event is going to be. And the more you prepared yourself for it, both physically and subconsciously, the more easily you will deal with it when it happens literally in your real life and in your real situations. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is the confidence loop. Number 2, execution. So you had the discipline to get yourself ready before the situation occurred. Now the situation is occurring. You've done the prep work, the situation actually occurs. What do? Well, you show up and you execute. You do your job. You know you can execute because you were prepared ahead of time. You did the work already. Now you just do what your practice told you to do, and you do the same thing in a live situation. Now in the sports world, as in every other world, this is the way that it felt with me. We would practice doing the same things so often that when you got into the live situation, you would naturally, habitually do the right thing because you were trained in doing it. Not because you said to yourself, okay, I practiced this a million times. Now is the game. Let me remember to do that thing that I was practicing. So you don't have to remember because you practice it so often that you just naturally do it without thinking. You want to see an example of this? Look at the movie The Karate Kid, or look up on YouTube the scene where Daniel's son confronts Mr. Miyagi and says, hey, Mr. Miyagi, for those of you who don't know what The Karate Kid is, I think most of you do. It's a movie where this kid wanted to learn martial arts. He goes to this expert guru guy who's allegedly going to teach him martial arts. But before he starts teaching him, he says, well, first, I want you to paint this fence. And he tells him how to paint the fence. You paint the fence this way. You move your hand this way. Use this exact technique to sand and paint the fence. That's all I want you to do. Just do this. And Mr. Miyagi is this guru's name. He has Daniel's son working on painting this fence over and over and over again. Daniel's son's kind of getting annoyed. And he's like, what the hell does any of this have to do with karate? That's what he's thinking. So he goes to Mr. Miyagi and he basically confronts him verbally and says, hey, you're supposed to be teaching me this, but you got me doing this nonsense. And you basically are using me as a free slave to do your yard work, but you're not actually teaching me how to do anything. And he's getting real pissed off at Mr. Miyagi. And then Mr. Miyagi, in the midst of the conversation, he tries to strike Daniel's son with a blow, like tries to hit him. And when Mr. Miyagi tries to hit Daniel's son immediately blocks the strike with the exact movement that Mr. Miyagi told him to use to work on the fence. The wax on and wax off. He tries to hit him once and Daniel's son blocks it. He tries to hit him again, Daniel's son blocks it. And Mr. Miyagi is showing Daniel's son, without saying in so many words, remember what we talked about in precision in the previous episode, he is showing Daniel's son, I am teaching you the thing you came here to be taught. I'm just teaching you in a way that's different than what you expected. So he's giving him that message without even telling him that he's giving him the message, because he's been helping Daniel's son get the repetitions of doing the thing before Daniel's son even knew he was getting repetitions. The point being, when Mr. Miyagi tried to hit Daniel's son, that's a live situation. Daniel's son didn't even know he was in a live situation. He immediately responded with what he had been trained to do, which is how to wax on and how to wax off. See, now you're just doing the same thing in a live situation you've been doing in practice. If you practice anything enough, you will do it instinctively without having to remind yourself to do it. Now, it doesn't mean it's always going to happen the exact same way, but that's the reason why you get what we call reps. Reps are executions of dealing in the live situation. So no matter how much you practice, when you get into a live situation, sometimes it feels a lot different than the practice situation, and you have to get enough repetitions doing something live, regardless of how much you practice, to get comfortable doing it live. This is a challenge that will come up often with athletes who would get what we know as performance anxiety. This happens in other careers as well, but I would hear it often from athletes. They would spend a lot of time practicing by themselves on an empty basketball court or an empty gym, or playing with their friends with whom they were comfortable, and they would do certain things. But then when they got into a live game with a lot of people who they didn't know on the court and people who they didn't know in the bleachers watching, they would clam up, they would freeze, they would get nervous, and they wouldn't do many of the same things they had been doing before. They wouldn't do them because of the performance anxiety. And the performance anxiety came from, yes, I have practice and I have trained to do things, but I don't have enough experience, live game reps, doing it in this environment. So you have to get the reps of doing it in the live environment to get better at it. So it's not like you go straight from practicing perfect to performing perfect. Some people are able to do it Most people are not. You got to get in there and actually get your hands dirty, getting those reps. More times doing the main thing so you can make mistakes in the real situation, learn how it works in the real situation. As we say, the real life experiment often alters what happened in the lab test, and you get to develop your overall game. Your game is how do you do it in a live situation, which may differ a little bit from how you're practicing, and then you can adjust your practice to what the live game looked and felt like for you. So two professionals doing the same job may do it in different ways while achieving the same outcome. So when I'm in the boxing gym, my trainer will often tell me, hey, you need to develop your game. He would say that to me all the time. You got to develop your game in boxing. You don't just walk out in the ring with your hands up and just randomly decide what to do. You have a style. If you watch combat sports, combat fighters have a style the same way that basketball and football players have a style. All right, Michael Jordan's style is a little bit different than LeBron James's style, and different than Shaquille O'Neal, and different than Allen Iverson. They all have different styles. Floyd Mayweather had a style. Muhammad Ali had a style. Roy Jones had a style. George Foreman had a style. They were all boxing, and they all had the goal of winning the fight, maybe even knocking out their opponent, but they went about it differently because they had different styles and different approaches, i.e. different games. You develop your game by getting into the live game and figuring out, okay, how am I going to do this? How do I want to move? What do I want to use? So it's not the same from one person to the next, even though they may both be high level, high performing professionals. Even though everyone, again, is trying to get the same outcome, the execution will be different for each person because every person is unique. We all have our different approach to how we want to do things and achieve our outcomes. That's why you got to get the reps. That's the execution. Point number 3, today's topic, once again, is the confidence loop. So you got the discipline, you got the execution, and next is the proof. Next thing you get is some proof, the proof that you can do it. Now, the more times you achieve the desired outcome, the more proof you have that you can achieve the outcome because you've achieved it so many times. Now you've proven to yourself over and over again, I absolutely know that I can do this. Your belief goes up, your confidence increases. This helps you in 2 distinct ways. One of them is it helps you externally. Externally meaning, all of you have heard of the term social proof, right? You know what social proof is? Social proof is the external validation you get from others, such as your customers, your clients, your fans, even your haters, and the world in general, of what? Is all of you knowing that they know that you're good at doing that thing. That's the external proof. You know that they know that you know you're good at doing your thing. Any of you who sells anything online, usually when you're selling stuff, you want to put some form of social proof on next to whatever it is that you're selling. Why do you put social proof on the page where you're trying to sell your book, or you're trying to sell your course, or you're selling your coaching program? Why do you put social proof there? You put social proof there because you want the people who are looking at it and considering it to say to themselves, well, look at all these other people who have done this. They got good results. There's a good chance I'm going to get good results. Since they believe in Dre and Work on Your Game University, then I can believe in Dre and Work on Your Game University. Doesn't mean that the social proof is going to make someone absolutely say yes, but you got a better chance of them taking the next step if they see the social proof than if they don't see it. The social proof is other people validating and saying, this is a good idea, and subconsciously telling the person who is browsing, hey, you should do the same thing. It's the same thing when it comes to confidence in general. If you walk into the room and everybody in the room already knows you and already thinks you're good and has already seen you play before and they believe you're great, and you walk in, you know that they know that. And you know they're saying it to the person next to them like, yo, that guy, he had 30 points in the last game. He's good. You know that they're having that conversation. That boosts your confidence because you know that they already know who you are. Now, that doesn't mean if you walk in and nobody knows you, you can't still be confident. But it boosts your confidence when you know that everybody already knows that you're going to be good. It could also lead to a certain amount of pressure if you know they're expecting you to do something and you're not sure you'll be able to do it. But I digress. It's not the topic here today. The more social proof you have, the easier it is to influence others to believe that you are good. Why? Because everybody else is saying it. And most human beings will follow what everybody else is telling them, especially people who they know, like, and trust, and or especially if it's a large group of people. So even if they have never personally experienced you saying what you're saying, if they hear from reliable sources that what you are is good, they will move forward on their own. This is the reason why all of us usually look at the reviews of a business before we go to the business. You want to see that other people had a good experience, and that gives you confidence that you will have a good experience. The other way this social proof helps you is the internal social proof. So the external social proof is what all of you are familiar with. This is people saying positive things about you. You put this on your website. You make sure everybody knows that people have had great experience. Here's the 30 people who have all made money in my course, et cetera, et cetera. All of you know about that. Here's the internal social proof. This is the other kind. And I believe this is more important, because what other people say about you has not nearly as much of an effect as what you say about you and to you. Every time you go out there and do the thing that you prepared to do, and you execute successfully to create the desired outcome, the more confidence you have in yourself that you know you can do it again and again and again. This goes to the point that I was saying a moment ago. Let's say you walk into the gym as an athlete and everybody in there has heard of you and they all know that you're really good and they're all expecting you to be dominant, and that boosts your confidence because you know they're all saying that you're great. Now, let's just say you walk into the gym and nobody knows you. You walk into a new gym. This is a place you've never been, in a town you've never been in before. But you know, and everybody in there is looking at you like, actually either looking at you and saying, who the hell is that? I never heard of this guy. And or they're not looking at you at all because they don't even notice you. They're looking at all the other people who they do know. They don't even notice that you're on the court. But you know you've done the work. You just didn't do the work in front of them. You know that you're good. They don't know that you're good. It's not news to you. It's going to be news to them. You can have a high level of confidence too. And you can actually benefit. You can draw a bit of motivation from knowing that they don't know who you are and they're expecting nothing from you. So when you start doing stuff, you're going to wake their asses up. That can make you feel good. Those are kind of environments that I liked performing in, when nobody was expecting anything of me or nobody even knew me, but they were all excited about somebody else. And I said, okay, let me put myself against that person they're excited about, bust his ass, and wake the crowd up to me all at the same time. Those are the funnest games. It's a little bit edge gets taken off and everybody thinks you're good already and they're expecting you to be great. So this level of confidence that you develop internally, whether the rest of the world believes it or not, this changes your energy, your aura, and your posture. When you're confident, your posture changes. When you're not confident, your posture changes. And when that confidence goes up, that leads to the fourth piece. That leads us to point number 4. Today's topic, once again, is the confidence loop. Number 4, presence. Presence. Those last 3 things that I said, your energy, your aura, your posture, these are all reflective of your presence. They are the energy that people feel coming from you, even if you say nothing, do nothing, and you don't even know who you are. Even if you walk into the gym and nobody knows who you are, if you're carrying yourself a certain way and you look a certain way, people are going to be noticing you and watching you, even if they're not talking about you. They're like, wait, there's something about this person, right? This person seems confident, even though I don't know who they are. I don't know why they're confident, but they seem confident. All right, something about their energy says that they know something I don't know. Let me watch this person and find out what they're about, find out what they can do. Is any of you ever in a sport, you notice this all the time. Any of you who plays a sport or has coached a sport or even observes a sport, especially at the amateur level where there are players there who you see, but you don't know who they are. You've seen this. A player walks out onto the field or the court or something and you're like, I don't even know who that player is, but something about the way they're carrying themselves tells me that they might be somebody. Let me pay attention. And then you pay attention and then it turns out they are somebody. All right, they can play. All right, see, the energy that people feel coming from you, even when you say nothing and do nothing, don't know you, all right, that's your presence. Remember the fundamental laws of energy, folks. Energy is everything. Energy is reciprocal, and energy cannot tell a lie. All right, these are the fundamental laws of energy. Energy is in everything we do. It is reciprocal, meaning the energy you send out is the energy that gets reflected back to you, and energy cannot tell a lie. So when you feel a certain energy coming from a person, they're not lying to you. That's real what you're feeling. When you're feeling another person's energy, that's not made up in your mind. It's a real thing, and you should read the message that it's giving you. When you watch sports, again, this is the most visceral way to understand this point, although it applies to anything. You will notice that oftentimes when a challenger is going up against a well-known champion, the challenger often appears to be unsure of themselves. Their movements and actions are less effective, and it almost seems as if, even early in the competition, that is a formal conclusion that the champion is going to win. Now, why is this? Is this happening in your imagination? No, this is a real thing. And it often is exactly how it happens. I watch a lot of boxing matches. When I'm watching them, I notice, I'm looking at them like the challenger is getting open shots and open punches to throw at the opponent and is landing some of them. But why are the punches that the champion throws seem to have more effect on the challenger than the punches that the challenger throws seem to have on the champion, even when they both land punches? Why is that? And this is the reason. I figured it out. The reason is when the challenger doesn't have the same level of confidence as the champion, even when they do the thing successfully, the energy behind the thing is not strong enough to have as much of an impact. The champion being so confident, everything they do feels like it has impact, even when they don't even do it all the way. Because of the psychological aspect of, I know I'm better than my opponent, versus the psychological aspect of, I'm not sure if I'm better. See, another reason is because the idea of the champion being the champion. See, it's not just the person themselves, not just because the champion is just so good. It's because the idea of the champion is what you're fighting against. If you're a boxer going in the ring against Mike Tyson, you're not just fighting Mike Tyson. You're fighting the idea of Mike Tyson. The idea of Mike Tyson is this guy knocks people out in the first round with vicious body shots and uppercuts, and he just destroys people. He lays them out flat. You walk into the ring thinking about that, you're not just fighting Mike Tyson. You're fighting the idea of what he might do to you. And as soon as you get that in your head, every punch you throw has that much less power. You lose a little bit of belief. I remember watching a tennis match and Serena Williams was playing, and this graphic came up on the screen that said, what's the number one trait you need to beat Serena? They had asked like 100 other pro women tennis players the question, and the answers were like the serve, it was conditioning, it was returns, and the other one was confidence. And I'll tell you what the answer was in a second, and you probably already know the answer because you know what this topic is here today. I remember I was talking to my friend Clara, who is a former professional tennis player herself. And I told her about this, and I asked her, what do you think the answer was? And she got it right immediately. She said confidence. I didn't even give her the 4 options. She said confidence. Number one thing you need to beat Serena Williams is not you need to be fast, not you got to be quick, not you got to have a great serve. No, you got to have the confidence to believe that you can actually win. And a lot of times when you're going against a strong opponent, especially a well-known opponent, the challenger goes into the competition already halfway defeated because you're not sure you can win. You don't even believe you can win. So you don't have a chance. So if you're in the boxing ring against Muhammad Ali or Floyd Mayweather or Mike Tyson in their primes, the number one thing you got to have a chance to win is not boxing skills. We already know you got boxing skills. It's how you ended up in the fight in the first place. You're number one contender. Number one thing you need is the confidence that you can actually win because everybody else tried and lost. So you just next on the menu. So you got to get that out of your head. Same with golfers trying to beat Tiger Woods on the final round on a Sunday. The idea of Tiger Woods is what you're fighting against, not Tiger himself. All right, golfers can't stop other golfers from hitting the ball. The presence is what gets in your head. The presence of the opponent is what gets in your head. And when that happens, the competition is pretty much over and you lose. That's why this matters so much. That's the confidence loop. Let's recap today's class, which is the confidence loop, the 4 pieces that make confidence what it is. Number 1, discipline. Show up every single day and do the work. This is the pre-work. This is the homework that you do as a professional, and every professional must do homework. Allen Iverson being the one exception. Everybody else, you got to actually practice if you want to be good. Number 2, execution. Now that you've done the prep work, you actually go out there and get live repetitions, actually doing the thing in real life. This is where you develop your game and you can make adjustments to your preparation, seeing how the real life affects or differs from the lab tests and practice. Number 3, proof. This is the external proof of you knowing that everybody else knows that you're good because they saw you do it. That builds your confidence. Also, the internal proof of you knowing that you're good. That builds your internal confidence, and that changes the way you show up, which leads to point number 4, your presence. This is your aura, your energy, and the effect that you have on other people, including whoever you may be competing against. Because if the presence of the opponent is stronger than your presence, you're losing before you even start the competition. Again, this is golfers getting nervous on Sunday because they know Tiger Woods is chasing them down on the leaderboard. The golfer didn't get worse at golf. It's just now the presence of Tiger is in your mind more than what you need to do. Your presence of mind of hitting a damn golf ball. You start making mistakes because you're worried about something that you have no control over. That's the power of presence. And this is all part of the confidence loop. The end point of the confidence loop is that you have a level of presence that wins situations for you and determines outcomes for you before the situation has even started. That's where you want to be in life. You want to get there, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, get to working with me directly. You will learn how to embed confidence into yourself as a person, make it part of who you are, not just a thing that you do. This is all at workonyourgameuniversity.com with me as your direct coach. Work on your game. Dre all